All right, I call this meeting to order. Let's do roll. Julie, if you want to start.
Julie Donna, board member.
Holly Warren, ESD staff.
Lisa Spinelli, board member.
Paul Ash, board member.
Chaz Nottinger, staff.
Alex Crowley.
Cheryl Gilliland. Sorry, Cheryl Gilliland from the auditor or controller's office, director of auditing.
Alex Crowley, board member.
And Dee Del Rosa, executive director.
Kate Rosenberger, board member.
Oh, we've got one more. Hi, Mary. We're just taking roll right now. You don't mind saying your name?
Hi, Mary Morgan here.
Great. Question. I know that there was a bit of a problem with getting all of the packet. So did everyone get to even see the minutes?
I have the minutes attached to my stuff. So.
Okay. Okay, good. So can we go ahead and do an approval of, I'm sorry?
Hey, Dee, I just emailed everyone the packet, so for those who are
Okay.
online, if they check their email, they should have got the actual packet if they didn't.
Okay, and I think that it was just the financials and then the additional sheet that has board members, open positions. So it wasn't too much that was missing from that packet. Does anyone have any questions about the meeting notes from last time or would like to make any amendments to the meeting notes from last time?
No.
All right, then do we have a motion to approve the meeting notes?
This is Alex. I'll move to, excuse me, this is Alex. I'll move to approve the meeting notes.
Second, Paul Ash.
Okay, all in favor of approving December meeting notes?
I think you have to do a roll call because.
Oh, I'm
we're on-
sorry, that's because we are all online. So how do I do that? I'm sorry, I haven't done this
Just-
virtually.
You want to just call the board members' names?
Okay, sure. Julie,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Lisa,
Yeah,
Kate.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Okay.
Great, thank you, Chaz. I appreciate that. Next up, director's report. There are just some things that I wanted to go over with you guys. Concerning the money market account move, we did have some hiccups with that. So some of the grants that we had at the end of the year have yet to have been paid out or in the process of being paid out. Because of moving from account to account, the funds were frozen. We did work this out with Cheryl, so everything is accounted for 2022, but things aren't actually being paid out until like this month because of that that hiccup there. And I'm not sure if Alex or Cheryl has an update on the situation with those accounts.
Yeah, I can just talk briefly about it, Dee. So basically what happened is, if you recall, we've had 3 accounts and we shut one down and we moved the monies into the money market account. The problem was the account that was shut down was the sweep account that allowed for us to pay out of the checking account. So when that 3rd account was shut down, the same sweep capability had not yet been set up with the money market. And so when Dee says that we were prevented from making payments, it was because we didn't have adequate balance in the account from which the payments were being made. So we worked with the bank and they connected the two accounts. So we're now out of the woods on that, but it locked us up basically towards the end of the year. But I think we're in good shape now, Dee, moving forward. And one of the key things was that we have all of this payee information tied to the checking account. And we didn't want to lose all of the work that had gone in to set that up. And so they figured the best way to deal with this was the way they did.
Great, thank you, Alex. Does anyone have any questions about that situation?
I'll also just point out that when we moved the money to the money market account, the interest rate that got secured was 3.3%. Which is a good rate.
Okay, and next up, actually, on that topic, last week we had discussed removing Karin from the bank accounts. Unfortunately, that wasn't an official decision by the board in the last set of meeting notes. So we need to actually make a motion and an official decision because the meeting notes are part of what we have to present to a couple of the financial institutions to prove that we can take her off of these accounts for signing privileges. I do believe that we have quorum right now, so we can go ahead and take that motion unless anyone has any questions or objections to that.
I just have a clarification question about quorum. I can't off the top of my head remember what the rules are for in-person versus online. And so I just wanted to, if you, Dee, or anyone else knows whether that is a factor or not, a certain number of people have to be in person.
Well, the bylaws, because the bylaws are so old, there's nothing that actually specifically states of whether in person, like whether you physically have to be in the room. Just because they were written in the 90s, so this wasn't even a possibility. So I mean, as far as the bylaws go,
I thought we had passed a resolution on this, but I could be thinking of a different board that I sit on. So
okay.
If you're all fine with that.
Yeah, I see. I personally see no problem with it. Also within the bylaws, we can put that officially in the bylaws. We have all power to create that as well. So I'm not sure of the process of actually creating that in the bylaws, but that is also a possibility. I mean, if I defer to the board's good judgment, as I am very new at this, so.
I think at some point we would have to step up to the point in time. Like there's gonna come a time that we all can't be in the same room and we need to rule on things. So if we have the opportunity to change something in the bylaw, let's make it today with technology.
Well, we did have a lot of meetings that we were all on Zoom, right? So, and we did continue the business of, Mary, I don't honestly remember us doing that. But it could have been when I was gone too.
I think Mary is right. I think we did pass the resolution, and Larry helped. It's just like following the state guidelines basically, and city council follows the same rules about you have to have a quorum physically present, I think, or a majority physically present, and then anyone can be virtual, but not more than 2 meetings in a row. I mean, I think we just like the state had like kind of like a preferred, and I think we did that at the beginning of last year, maybe.
So we have the majority at virtual, not present. There's only 2 of us here. So that would be against what you thought we've had, what we thought we've passed.
Alex, do you have any clarification on that?
I was struggling. I was actually going through my email to see if I could find that documentation. So if my memory serves, we are not obligated to do anything. We have opted to do something that is in alignment with what as we were talking about what was done statewide. So what I can try to do, if you all want, is if we want to kind of keep moving through this, see if I can get Larry to jump on and see if he can take us through it. Dee, if that's all right with you. And then, and if we cannot do that, then what we should probably figure out is, do we want to just defer votes until the February meeting, unless there's something that's business critical, or do we want to take votes and then with the possibility that we have to come back and re-vote later? So let me see if I can get there.
Yeah, I know Alex is getting Larry, but just looking back at some of the emails about going back to hybrid versus all online at the beginning of last year, Jane did send us an email on March 2nd that says half of the attendees must attend in person to have quorum.
So we're still under quorum.
Right.
Okay. Then we'll have to defer to next month. And there is nothing that is business critical at this juncture. Taking Karin off the accounts isn't, I don't think that that's going to prevent us from doing anything that needs to happen. Yeah, I don't really see anything else that really needs to be voted on critically this month. So, okay, well then I'm going to go ahead and go through the rest of the director's report, and then we'll move to financials.
Do you should I get Larry, or do we just keep moving?
I can have a discussion with Larry separately on this, and get some of that figured out. I think we should just keep the meeting moving, since we can't have, we don't have quorum and we can't really make a vote at this point, so.
Okay.
Next up, speaking of the issue that we have right now, a board membership. We actually do have a really great applicant named Heather Robinson, who I've nominated, and I've sent her name and application to the Office of the Mayor. She has extensive work in nonprofit organization and financial work with nonprofits. I think that she'll be a great asset to the board. So I'm very excited about that. I've had some exchanges with Kaisa. It looks like that will hopefully be happening sooner rather than later. Also, there was a question last month from the board about expansion. Unfortunately, we cannot expand the board due to Indiana code. The board stands at 12 members. And until the code is changed, there's just no movement on that. So we'll work with what we've got. The board as it stands, I think that we just need a clarification on positions and how we all got here. Kate, council member, Felissa is C2 zone business. Mary is C3 zone resident in the Democratic slot, I believe. Julie, M2 business. Alex is economic development liaison. Jackie is M4 labor, and Paul Ash is M6 resident. So what we have open is a resident position that needs to be either a Republican or independent party affiliation. One business representative appointed by the mayor, one plan commission member, which was formerly Karin's position appointed by the mayor, and the other two positions are governor appointees. Currently, I am canvassing the resident scholarship recipients for another resident with either Republican or independent party affiliation to fill in that spot. I haven't gotten any bites yet, but I'll keep on blasting, and hopefully we'll be able to get someone that's interested and excited to work with us.
What about the plan commission appointment?
I have not spoken to that yet. I think that Alex and I need to have a discussion about that. I think Alex might be the best person to reach out and figure that section out as staff liaison.
Yeah, so I've had preliminary discussions with the mayor's office about that. We just have to find someone to do it. So it's going to take a little bit, but we're running that down.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Felicia, you had a question, didn't you, about your term?
Yes, my term ends, I guess, at the end or the mid-January. I was asking, how do I get reappointed? Do I just sign another contract or do I have to go through the whole steps again?
I am actually unsure of the reappointment process. Alex, can you speak to that, or can any of the other board members speak to that?
I think if Felicia, it probably makes sense just to resubmit your interest and then we can work it as a reappointment rather than a brand new application.
Okay.
So she just sent something to you, Alex? Is that all she needs to do?
Right, or apply via the onboard.
And then we can just resubmit your name and just fast track it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I can just share, we're dealing with the same thing with a couple of members on the Bloomington Arts Commission. Their term is expiring earlier because they replaced others like this. And basically, yeah, we just asked them to reapply using onboard based on the council liaison. And then I just shot an email to them just saying, hey, let's make sure this person stays there also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Holly. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Cheryl for the financials.
Okay, for the month of December, is what I'm going to review today. For February, I'll have the full year-end sort of focus. But for the month of December, your income totaled $514.06, and that comes from your business zone loan interest, your late fees, and your other interest income. Your expenses for the month of December came to $93,421.06, and that is derived from bank charges and grants in a total amount of $89,650. And when you break that down, 70,000 of that is the Monroe County school grant, MCCSC school grants. It's in here. It hasn't officially been paid, but it's accounted for as a liability. You handed out 4 zone arts grants, the Artesian Alley, Lotus Education and Arts, Stages Bloomington Company, and Visit Bloomington. And then there was one other one that I didn't get identified here, $7,500. Actually, I think that's 2. And I'll be working on getting that. I got to get the 2 grants added into the system. So for right now, they were selected as other, but in the final report, you'll see them listed individually. So we also handed out scholarships in a total of $6,003.87. And that is broken out between business scholarships and resident scholarships. And overall, your net income was a negative $92,907 for the month. When you look at the balance sheet, this reflects the transfer from the savings account to the money market account. So when you look at the total checking and savings account balances in total, it's $2,691,495. And from that, you can see how each account, what the account balances are. In terms of other assets, which are all of your long-term loans and such, that total comes to $253,938.12. And when you combine all of your other assets along with your checking and savings total, you have $2,945,000, $2,945,433.12. And so that is when you're just looking at the balance sheet for December, that's what you currently have. And when you switch it over to the other sheet, which compares your budget versus actual, on the income side, for the year, your budget was $313,413. Too many 13s in there. But you actually brought in $484,672.21. So you're over by $171,259.21, which is great. On the expense side, your total budget for expenses was $331,710, and you expended $205,246.60. So basically, there was $126,463 that you haven't spent in the year. If you look at in some of the categories for grants, the zone art grants, you had budgeted $80,000 and you only spent $34,208. And the school grants, you budgeted the $35,000, but we have the liability in there as $70,000 for the NCCSC. I'm kind of just looking at some of the big ones here. If you look at your total grant miscellaneous, you budgeted $45,000 and you spent $45,000. And you go down to scholarships, you budgeted $30,500 and you spent $22,507.42. So you didn't distribute all of the scholarships that you went into. So those are just some of the highlights. You can look at the details of the smaller items as well.
So you said the school grant hadn't been paid out and was set up as a liability. I didn't see it here as a
Yeah,
liability,
it's $70,000.
but I didn't see it as a liability.
Well, yeah, it's as let's see here.
I saw it as an expense, but I
Yeah,
didn't see it
well,
set up as a liability. So it's been deducted out of our cash? Or-
yes.
Okay, so it wasn't set up as a liability.
Well, I guess not as a liability, but it's accounted for in terms of an expense for the year.
So would we paid it then?
It hasn't been paid. Actually, when you look at the balance sheet in terms of checking, it shows the negative $70,000. That's where it shows.
That's where it is.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so it's the check's been written, they just haven't cashed.
Basically.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
And that was actually part of this end of the year account situation that was going on where there was just no money that was going to go out at the end of December. So that's probably part of that as well.
So it sort of carried forward into, when you look at the actual January statements, it'll come out in January that it's.
So I
That
thought
it's
that was
accounted
I thought that 75, I thought that was that sweep on that account, because they have a sweep on that account, don't they?
A sweep.
And I think that the checking, when you write a check, it sweeps out of the money market, doesn't it? I think that's why we have negative balances in there.
It will, but so those are checks that have not cleared.
Okay, all right. Okay.
If I may interject, I've been texting with Larry and he's confirmed that we have the ability to have an electronic quorum. So he checked the documentation. So according to Larry, that we are actually in a position to vote on things if we want to vote on the financials.
Okay, that's great. Well, then, motion to approve the financials.
So moved. Paul Ash.
Any second?
It's Alex, I'll second.
Voice vote. Can we start with Julie?
Yes,
Yes.
that's Felicia, yes.
Felicia, yeah.
I need to call
Yeah.
the names, Steve.
Oh, could you please, Chaz?
Oh, yeah, Felisa,
Yes.
Julie.
Yes,
Mary,
Yes,
Paul,
Yes.
Kate.
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
All right, financials approved for January. Next order of business, I did send an edited agenda. Unfortunately, Lisa couldn't be here to present her Canva booklet because she has class and I wanted her to go to class and not skip. So hopefully we'll have a presentation of that next month. If I do get some type of draft of it, I will make it a point to send it out to the board members. We had a quick discussion about something physical that had all of the available grants and programs that were available via the BUEA. And I think that Lisa's put together a nice little package. So yeah, unfortunately, higher education is is more important than this right now for her. I'd like to make that a priority for her. The only other new business that I really wanted to discuss was have a discussion about an election of officers and interest of current members for positions as officers. I know that we have a very small board right now, and we're making an effort to get more people on this board. As I was reading the bylaws, there's no specific date as to when we have to have an election of officers. Julie and I had a discussion, and she is kind enough to kind of be willing to wait and hang out as far as being an officer. And I think that there's some things that like people want to switch around and maybe move around as far as the board is concerned. So I just guess want to know if there's any interest in anyone to move positions, step away, step up. If anybody would like to start out.
So Dee, as it stands right now, we have Julie as continuing in a extension
Chairperson.
as the president, and then Mary, you're the secretary, is that correct? But we do
That's
not have
right.
a vice president's been
We have a
vacated.
vice president.
Barnes removal, is that right? Okay.
I had a quick discussion with Julie and Karen about this. I don't have the capacity to be an officer. Being secretary is fine. I just can't take on additional responsibility. But I know Heather, and maybe she will be willing.
yeah, Heather would be definitely good.
And that was also my thought, that if there wasn't interest or the ability of board members to take on more responsibility, that maybe a new board member might be able to fulfill those responsibilities and have a little bit more breathing room. I know everybody on the board is very busy and has a lot of other things going on, and I appreciate everyone, showing up and your input and all of that. So I do appreciate that. So I guess as it stands, we should leave it until we can ask a new board member, or do we want to try and place someone in the interim as vice president? Any opinions on that from the board?
It may just be cleaner to wait, Dee, I think at this point.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I would agree with Alex if we could wait and do them all at once when we have a little bit larger group.
Okay.
As long as that's fine with having an open position for the interim period.
I know that Larry's on. I don't know if he would have any insight to that, as long as if we're okay having that open officer's position.
I don't think you're required to vote on it, but let me check the bylaws just to make sure, and then I'll get you a firm answer if you want to move on with other business.
Okay. Well, at this juncture, actually, I really don't have anything else, with the exception of, oh, I'm sorry, we can do a vote to remove Karen, or I'm sorry, Karen from the accounts. So that's my only unfinished business. Do we have a motion to remove Karen St. John from signing privileges to our bank accounts?
Regretfully, move to remove Karen St. John. She will be missed.
Yep.
Paul Ash.
Do we have a second? Chaz, if you could do a roll call vote.
Julie?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Paul? Or,
Yes.
yeah, Kate?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
All right, so moved and sadly. So at this point, do we have any new business general discussion items?
So can I understand this, the vice chairman role, just nobody was appointed for that, is that correct? Or nobody wants to run for it? Is that the issue?
Currently, no one wants to run for it. As Karen
Well,
was.
we haven't had an election. We
Yeah.
haven't had an election at all.
You haven't had an election at all today?
No,
Okay.
and Karen was it before. And I had expressed to Dee that I didn't really want to continue as president either, but I would in the interim period of time. So we need to have an election at some point in time. We just don't have enough people, I don't think, so.
So under the bylaws, they are to be elected at the first regular meeting in the calendar year.
Oh, I did not see that in there.
And then each officer holds the office for 2 years until a successor shall be duly elected and shall qualify, which is a little bizarre because the first meeting of each calendar year. I think as long as we have people who are willing to go to the next meeting, probably can. That's probably fine to push it to the next meeting. That's just under the bylaws. Technically, this is the organization meeting, and that's when you typically would have that election.
Okay, I'm sorry to the board. I completely missed that. I apologize.
Larry, does it make sense to have someone step in an interim role to fulfill the first meeting obligation and then have that person replaced? Is that?
You could do it that way. You could also technically, well, not technically, under the bylaws, one person can fulfill 2 roles as long as it's not the president and secretary roles. So the president can't also be the secretary roles. Those have to be different people. But otherwise, the same person can fulfill each role. So you could, vest the president with the powers of vice president and president all in one, and then just until a successor is named. I mean, that doesn't make a lot of practical sense, but that is how you can do it under the bylaws. I think since it's a vice chair role, you know, in other boards, we've also been able to leave that open until it's filled, which is fine.
All right, well, I mean, I really don't know how to proceed forward, except for waiting until next month until we have more people on the board to have an actual election, because at this point, it doesn't seem, I feel like we're at an impasse at this juncture.
Okay.
Well, Dee, it sounds like there, and Larry, correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like there are two options here. One is one of us takes the interim vice chair role pending a replacement, and the other is that we leave it open and address this in February.
So
Right.
here's how I think here's what my recommendation would be, Alex, unless somebody wants to take those two roles, just have somebody on the board make a motion to postpone the election of officers until the next regularly scheduled meeting and vote on that today as a board. And then we'll do it that way. And then that position can be filled at the next regular meeting. So that way we can record it in the minutes that it was by action of the board that we're postponing this one meeting.
Okay. So do I have a motion to postpone the election of officers to the February meeting?
Move to approve, move to postpone the election of officers until the February meeting. Paul Ash.
Do I have a second?
Alex Crowley will second.
Chas, if you could do a roll call vote.
Mary,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Yes,
Julie,
Yes,
oh no, sorry, you said yes, so. Paul,
Yes.
Alex.
Yes.
All right.
All right. Motion carried to postpone election of officers till February. Do we have anything else for general discussion? Do we have any more questions or anything else we need to address this meeting?
Can I just say, thanks everybody for extending the scholarships. If you look on the thing, you extended the resident scholarships to 13,500 and we did it. The business ones, we extended to, I think, 10,000 or something. Will get back to me, so we did go over budget a little bit, only by $500, so it was worth extending it, but anyway, it was worth it, so thank you, people out there.
I'm glad it worked.
yeah.
Sorry, it took a while sending checks. It's a messy situation, but we're working on the software for next year for the UVA grants, so hopefully it'll be easier to get stuff from people. But anyway, it worked out. Thank you. Thank you, board. Thanks, people online.
Anyone else?
Bloomington Arts Commission grant cycles will kick off at the end of February. We'll start with an arts project grant and we'll roll one of our typical zone arts BUEA grants into that. So I'll keep you all posted once things are going live and we start doing reviews.
Thank you, Holly. All right, well, if there is nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right. Thank you all very much. And next time, I hope we can all see each other's faces directly.
Sorry for the
Okay.
unexpected absence, Dee. I intended to be there in person. It's kind of screwed up your meeting.
It's totally okay. I'm still on East Coast or Eastern time, even though I'm in the mountains right now. So it totally worked out. All right. Thank you all so much. Take care.
Recording stopped.
Have a great week.
Thanks. Thanks, everybody.